Lucy, this is Darla. We're here from the Garden Girls today showing you a quick demo on how to make a winter planter.
Well, we're starting with our pot here that's for a customer, and it has to be full of dirt, if not really full of dirt, all patted in so you have something to poke your greenery into. And we're going to start with red cedar and start making our skirt.
So while Darla's poking in the cedar, I'm just getting some more prepared. If you have any curved ends, you want to cut those off so that you don't have any troubles poking them in. I'm also sorting them by length so that Darla can have a nice full skirt. And I've separated my smaller bits as fillers for later.
And so that Lucy doesn't give me noodles. Noodles are when they won't poke in the dirt.
For example, like this. This is not good quality. You can discard that.
That is not a helpful piece of cedar. How much cedar do we have out for this pot so far, Lucy?
So far I've cut up 2 bundles. Depending on the size of your pot, you want to make sure that you don't have any holes and it's substantial.
And this is a pretty big pot, being about 16 inches. But your average. You wouldn't want to go any smaller with the cedar.
While Darla's finishing up, I'm going to start cutting the next ingredient, which is silver fir. You can use silver fir or noble fir. We prefer silver fir for the skirt because it's more bendable and a bit more flexible, and then your branches won't be sticking up in the air. So depending on your size of pot, sometimes you just want sort of a medium size, but if you have a really big pot, you're going to want to make a really nice big fan like this so that it stretches over. So again, I'm separating my 2 just to help Darla out with the different sizes. Don't be afraid to cut your whole branch into little pieces depending on the size. And of course, if you have an indoor arrangement or a smaller pot, you can always save little ones like this. They make great little arrangements for your kitchen counter or a bathroom or even a little hostess gift.
And this is why we have Lucy talk.
So I'm pretty much done with this piece because, as you can see, the ends are a bit too small unless I had a small arrangement in mind for my counter or bathroom. I'm just going to discard it because it's not going to be very useful. So I'm going to pass over the bigger pieces to Darla. She's going to get going on that.
And I try to stick them in so that I don't want them standing up in the air. I would like them to go in and sit on the cedar. Nice and flat. I try to use my bigger pieces around the pot, and then we'll fill in with other ones that, might not be as pretty.
Your key is to have a good set of clippers on hand. We like to use Falcos. It really saves your hands and muscles. Also, it makes a nice clean cut. So make sure you have a good pair of clippers on hand.
I think we're ready for pine.
Okay, Darla says we're ready for the next ingredient. So I'm going to move on to pine. This is our pine here.
A perfect one right there.
So we're going to use this for the skirt. They're like little bushy tails. Again, don't be afraid to cut your branches into the sizes that you need. As you can see, I am examining each one. Something like this, not going to be very helpful to you. Again, discard or use it for a smaller arrangement. How many more pieces would you like, Darla?
I think I'm done with the pine.
Okay.
We are good. And this is the start to all our planters. See cedar, silver fir, and pine. And a big pile of dirt.
Okay. So for today, we've chosen curly willow as our center branches. You can choose dogwood, which I'll come and show you.
What'd you do with the scissors?
You can choose dogwood, or you may choose red cardinal, or yellow dogwood.
Here comes the fun.
Often you will see birch poles also in the center of winter arrangements.
We almost always use 3 birch poles. You don't want it to look too cheap or small. Well, these were definitely fun. Put in. Can you open it up?
Yeah, I need the scissors when I went away. We're good. Now, depending on the size and height, we often will test our center branches. Sometimes I will use the entire branch, sometimes I will cut it at a good point so that you don't see a wood stick where you have a piece of greenery that can cover up your cut. So I'm just going to wait to determine what size we think we're going to need. This is called Carolina. It's very fragrant.
Smells like juniper.
And it has a nice blue tinge to it with a little bit of lime green.
How's that look?
Great.
What the rest? Alright, let's see how tall we need. We don't want it to be too tall in the center, just to fill in those empty gaps. Push it all the way in.
Darla, would you like me to cut it or it's fine?
This is good.
Had a hook, so I'm cutting that off.
And I'm just poking them in the middle of our willow to sort of hide the bottom with something.
Do you want to put in the eucalyptus or do you want to go to Oregania?
Yeah, we can do the eucalyptus. Oh, come back. And I can turn around the planter so you can kind of see all the, and I can see if I'm missing any holes, which might be 2 pieces. Any more Carolina?
Yeah.
Pieces?
I'll just cut it because this one's really long. Here you go.
For this side. There we go. Looking pretty good. All right, now we're going to use some seeded eucalyptus in the skirt. This is an expensive addition, but can be very pretty. Again, just poke it in. If you don't like the way it sits, take it out, turn it back around. And it was better the first way. Oh, It's not cooperating. It is Mother Nature. Doesn't want to go in.
While Darla's working on those hints of seeded eucalyptus, I'm just getting our next ingredient ready, which is called Oregania. Some people like to call it boxwood. We've chosen the green and white boxwood today just to give it a different texture. Not necessarily going to use this big piece because then it will cover up your Carolina or your juniper. So I'm going to trim it down about half the size. Sometimes I use the middle. If there's a really long piece, I cut it so that now it's even, and I'm trimming off the end as well. You want to make your pieces relatively the same size.
Over the last 15 years, Lucy knows all the cutting and I know all the poking. So now with the Oregania, we're going to poke it all in close to sort of do the collar around the middle. Good to have ready. Of course we adjust to whatever size planter we're doing. If it was a little planter, we wouldn't be going as tall.
I'm just kind of making a judgment call. You can see that Darla's might need a few more pieces because we like to go all the way around the pot so that if you're inside your house, you can see the back side. If you have someone coming up to your house, they can see the side, and of course, passerbyers can see the front. So typically, unless it was up against a brick wall, we do like to do all the way around.
360-degree view. Getting tangled. I think you can start Magnolia.
So we used about a bunch of Oregania and a half on this piece.
At the end of the video in the comments, we'll put how much we used as an example for this planter, so you know how many bundles to get. And you can get them at places like Tara or Sheridan Nurseries, or you might even be able to get it from us if we have any left. And I'm just going around and tucking in any places I see unfinished holes with what the rest Lucy cut for me. So it's nice and full.
So I'm currently working on one of our favorite parts of the planters that we do. It's called Magnolia. This comes all the way from Florida. It's actually a tropical greenery, so to speak, and we like it because it has both green and brown, and it gives it some other color. Now the key to this is many people like to stick in the whole branch, and then you have this really tall piece sticking out, and it also dries out quite quickly. So what I like to do is something like this, I would cut into at least 3 pieces. So I'm gonna find an end that makes sense. So it makes sense for me to cut it here because I'm gonna cut, and then my cut ends up being hidden by another leaf, and you don't see it once it's in the planter. So I'm gonna choose to cut it there, and this is too long, so I'm gonna cut it there. Again, you want to make your pieces relatively the same size.
And to the size of what you need for the planter. So when I go stick it in, I like gather them together, the leaves, and then of course use the stem and I poke it in as close as I can to what I was last working on. And then I do one sort of a first row and a second row, maybe even a third row if needed. And we'll fill this all the way around the circle until it is done. Every time I see full leaves of these in a planter, I'm so disappointed that they don't know that they can use it cut and don't have to stick them up. We should show an example of it sticking out of the planter in one. I don't know, you'll see them in all the regular stores. Seems to be the regular way to do it.
Magnolia can be quite pricey, so if you cut your magnolia into 2 or 3 pieces, you also get a bit more value out of it.
On average, we probably use 4 bundles of planter, maybe more, but that's because we love it so much. I find it a very elegant finish. It shows off your pine cones, your berries, whatever you're going to put in there.
So I'm just finishing up my 3rd pack. I'm going to wait and see if we need some more. This is about 3 bunches.
And then Lucy gives me 1 leaf.
Yep,
But none go to waste.
it's valuable.
We stick them all in there. Even if the leaf came loose, you just tuck it in, it will stay.
Okay, that's about 3 bundles. I'm gonna wait on Darla to let me know if she needs a few more. In the meantime, at this point you want to start to think about what type of accents and decor you want to put in your planter. Darla and I are firm believers of keeping your planter sort of natural, Canadiana, things that you're going to want to look at from now until March. Because once your planter freezes, it's really difficult to take it apart. So you want to be able to enjoy it as long as you can.
And Christmas is very short. But some people love them Christmassy too.
I think you're going to have enough, Darla. Are you going to use 5?
All right, let's have a look around. See how it looks, if I missed any holes. Probably once I put it on the ground and the customers and get it off the height of this. We'll be ready. Ready, Freddie.
All right. So we have pre-thought it out. We're going to go with some green pine cones with white tip. You can choose natural brown or sugar cones.
Nope.
Darla's going to make a grouping.
Need to find a way.
Most of the times we go with a group of 3. The odd time we'll do 4 or 5, depending on the size pot.
Yes, you could do the group of 3. So you're going to readjust. 1.
We typically will put the biggest one in the middle and then work around that.
And then one below it. And I picked over like where the seeded eucalyptus is.
You want to nestle those pine cones right in and just have the magnolia leaves kind of tuck out of them so it looks more natural. You also don't want to see the sticks. You want to cover that up. And we've chosen red berry branches today.
Which will go off to the side a little because I'm going to add another set of 3 pine cones to the back side, and we'll do berries in between.
Make sure that you read the tag when you pick up the berry branches or whatever you choose to make sure it says outdoor as well, because often with the rain and snow they start to discolor or they fall apart. And if you want it to last and look good, then you're going to want your material to be weather resistant. All right, one more.
We don't have one more pine cone, so one up there. Sometimes I'm being violent to get them in there. Okay, the last set of pine cones. Go opposite. Maybe. Not cooperating. There we go.
Got it.
Well, it's full of other branches and sticks now. You gotta find your spot. That they will go in. Maybe.
Good job, Dar.
There we go. Of course it had that.
All right, we're going to do a little showpiece.
Turntable.
There you go.
And that is how we make a planter.
So one last thing we want to tell you, a helpful tip, is remember to water your planter so that the greenery stays green before it freezes. Continue to water until you think that it has frozen in. Again, I'm Lucy. This is Darla. You can find us at thegardengirls.ca. We're hosted out of Oakville. Check out our website. Send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. Have yourself a merry little Christmas.
Bye.